Hallo, Derek hier. Wir hatten gerade eine unserer wöchentliche Q&A, so Frage-Antwort-Sessions von unserer Mitgliedschaftsseite. Link in der Beschreibung. Die zwei Fragen, die wir für diese kurze Ausschnitt gewählt haben, es geht grob um das Thema Kontext oder Zusammenhang. Und hier sind die. And the last two are really similar in the sense that they deal with context. And quite often I'll get questions and it'll be a little snippet, there's a few words or a phrase, and it'll say, is this correct? And quite often the answer is, well, they both can be correct. It sort of depends on the other words before it and after it, you know, the words that give the context. So just to give an example, someone might, write, for instance, which is correct, who miss me or who misses me? And my answer is, well, they kind of both are. You can, or rather, you can construct a sentence in which they're both correct. Which one do you mean? So, for instance, if it's just a question, who misses me, third person singular as a question, then who miss me would be incorrect. It would have to be who misses me. But you could use it as a relative clause, and you could say the people who miss me are kind or are friendly. And in this case, the people who misses me would be incorrect because the people is plural, and so you need the plural form of miss, which is miss. So in the case of the relative clause, the people who miss me are kind, then that would be correct. So if you're asking these questions about, is this correct or is this correct, be prepared for the answer. It depends on the context. And if you really want to get a good answer to these type of questions, it's usually a good idea to maybe give a bit more context to start off with. And the next one or last one is, actually I quite like this one. It's a very simple question, but it's got quite a detailed answer. And it says, in some of the nouns, the irregular nouns, you have the same singular and plural form. So how do you know which verb form to use? We take sort of fish as an example. Would we say were swimming or fish was swimming? And it depends on the words that come around it. If we're talking about fish in general, we're talking about that fish swim in the sea. Then we're talking about, that fish swim in water. And we're talking about all fish, I think. I don't think there's any that don't swim in water. And so we're in the plural situation. And so it would say fish swim in water and not fish swims in water, because swims is a singular form. On the other hand, if we're talking about just one single fish that we saw, then we would probably have to preposition it with a fish. Oh look, there's a fish swimming, or there is a fish. You wouldn't say there are a fish. There is, in the singular form, a fish. I can see it. On the other hand, if we're talking about, say, salmon that swim up the river to spawn again, we'd probably use the fish, and we'd have to look further in the context to see whether we're talking about one fish or many fish. And in this particular case, if we're talking about salmon as a general group that swim up the river to spawn, then we would say that the fish swim up the river because there's more than one of them. But if we're talking about one particular salmon that seems to be having trouble, or you say that the fish, as in that one, swims up the river, then we need the singular form. So if we got these plural nouns that have the same form and we don't know whether to use or the, or particularly the verb form, we really have to look. There's no kind of blanket answer that says, oh, you do this. Apart from saying, look at the context and treat each individual case separately and work out for each individual one what the correct one is based on the context around it. So it's perhaps not the answer you were looking for, but it's the honest answer, and there isn't another one that I know of. Ich hoffe, da die Bedeutung von Kontext und wie wichtig Zusammenhang ist, war so klar von diesen zwei Beispielen. Wer Interesse hat in dieser Mitgliedschaftszeit, guck mal bitte die Link in der Beschreibung. Da ist wirklich reichlich Information und Lernstoff für jeder, der Englisch lernen will. Bis zunächst, auf Wiedersehen.